Are you a sex worker looking to build a new website or a website redesign? Then you'll want to consider Fox Digital. They did a fantastic job designing my website, Stripped by Sia. If you want your website done, mention that you're a listener of the show at foxdigital.design for 20% off. Tell them I sent ya. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Stripped by Sia, your podcast for strippers, sex workers, and all the fancy naked people in between. I am your host, Steph Sia, aka Kimchi on stage. You can actually catch me on stage. I know I've been saying I'm taking a break. I'm finally back on stage the week of January 24th to 28th. I'll be back at Shaker's Show Lounge in Surrey. So that's just in a couple weeks. So if you want to come hang out, come talk to me about the show, which some of you lovely people have done, I would love that. Or take me for a private dance, whatever you want to do. I will be there, otherwise known as Kimchi on the stage. And yeah, I am a dancer. I am a content creator. And I was also a former sugar baby for a number of years. And I started the show 3 years ago just because I wanted to, provide a real perspective on what actually we go through as sex workers with an aim to destigmatize sex work. So every week I bring on to the show a different guest that can tell us a little about their corner and their life in sex work from different aspects and just the work that they do, the behind the scenes that we often don't get to see a lot of the times. So that's just a little bit about me, a little bit about the show. I just wanted to pop in here and I guess by the time this episode comes out, I'll be at the AVNs and we'll see if I won. Favorite adult podcast, we'll see. But I just wanted to come in here and say thank you to everyone who had voted for me. It's really, truly an honor. I didn't really expect to be nominated, so thank you. And at the time of recording, it's just before Christmas. I'm really excited to just take a little bit of a break before we kind of get back into things. But I just wanted to also extend my thanks to all the paying Patreon subscribers. We've got some new people in here. I just wanted to say hello. Hello to Earl Kwan, Marty Lang. We both are on the top tier who had just joined. We've got our regulars here. We got Snoo from Germany, Justin Erickson from the USA, Jay Sensern from my area of the world, which is Canada, and Selena Money, as well as Ted McGuire. Thank you so much for subscribing and becoming a patron. If you're interested in that, all the fun perks you get to see behind the scenes, lots of video exclusive content on there. I'm going to be debuting full content there quite soon. I'm just going to test that out to see how it goes. Pop on there. It's patreon.com/strippedbysia. And you can see all the fun things that are on there, my bonus episodes, little things behind the scenes, me at the AVNs, etc., etc. Go check that out. Your help really supports my website and also some fun events like the AVNs that I can now attend thanks to some of the funding that you guys have done. So thank you. And last couple things here, skyhawkafterdarktv.com. It is a adult videocast and podcast network that I'm a part of. Just wanted to give them a shout out. There's lots of similar podcasts and videocasts that other creators and lots of guests that you have maybe heard on the show that are also producing great content on there. Please go check it out. It's skyhawkafterdarktv.com. And last but not least, special thanks to my sponsor, Fox Digital, who made my lovely website. Go peep Anthony if you are in need of a website or a website redesign. It is foxdigital.design for 20% off. Okay, we got this under 4 minutes. Hello. I am talking, it's 7 o'clock in the morning recording, and I have not warmed up my voice, but it's okay. It's the holidays. I can do whatever I want. And I'm really excited to have this week's guest and her cat on the show if you're watching on Patreon. I'm super excited to bring on goddess Alexandra Snow onto the show this morning, today, whenever you're listening. And her cat Pandora, who's super lovely, and all the cat cuddles that I'm seeing right now. I am really stoked to chat with her today about her documentary, Wicked Eden, also some really fun projects she's working on, her brand new studio that is opening that I'm really excited to talk about. And also because we really haven't had an episode in a long time, actually, about female domination. So we'll talk about some of the basics there too, because it has been quite a while. But I'm really stoked to bring Alex onto the show. Gosh, and shout out to Carly. She's like, you got to get her out on the show. She's going to be amazing. I've given Carly so many shout outs here from PS Group. But a warm welcome to Alex. Hello.
Hi.
I'm so excited to have you on, and thank you again for taking time out of your day amidst all the holiday craziness, snowstorms, ice storms, whatever's happening.
No worries. This is a lot more fun than other things I could currently be doing. So.
You and me both. Christmas shopping I have to do later. I'm one of those people. Really excited to have you on. And for those who may or may not be familiar with Alex's work, she is a multi-award winning dominatrix with over 15 years or more.
17.
17 now. Okay, I'm sorry. 17 years of experience in female domination. Gosh, she is one of the leading dominatrixes in the industry, I would say. I just feel like I had so much love coming from other fellow doms on Twitter and also on Instagram. They're like, oh my gosh, no way. Oh, she's amazing. I love her. And lots of those types of comments. So I'm really excited to have a conversation with you today and to shoot the shit. So
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So I am a professional dominatrix, but I am also I'm a fetish media producer, and I've been a fetish media producer for about I would say 11, 12 years, something like that. I'm a dungeon owner. I'm an educator. I do a lot of education work for sex workers. I do education work as well for lifestylers and vanilla folks and women who are looking to step into their, into their power and stuff like this. But my real passion is in helping sex workers make more money and, take over the world. And I do some political activism stuff, but I wouldn't call that a job. It's more like the thing I do because I don't think my heart would let me sleep if I didn't.
That's amazing. I mean, you do so much, and a lot of things that I actually learned from you from watching your documentary, Wicked Eden, out now. Check it out. You can rent it on YouTube, which I did, and that was the first time I rented something on YouTube. So I was like, whoa, this is so cool.
I'll tell you, I had no idea that you could rent movies on YouTube.
Me too.
I didn't know a lot about the distribution until like 2 days before it was being released.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I mean, like one of the harder things about being the subject of a documentary versus being, your own content creator is like when you're your own content creator, you have complete control over everything, and you know where all your stuff is and where it lives, and where it's going to go. And when you're something mainstream, like you don't have much control over anything. And like the distribution companies and stuff, like I didn't even see the DVD that was coming out until I had to order it myself.
Oh, what?
Yeah. So one of the biggest things is people were like, oh my God, you're so famous now. And I'm like, I make no money off of this thing. Like I did this literally to help break down stigma in sex work. I wish I would make money off of it. That'd be great. But
yeah,
it was a hard project.
Yeah, I mean, we'll definitely get into the project pretty soon too. And if anyone is interested, and I'll probably plug these links in the show notes below, you can rent Wicked Eden on YouTube, on Apple as well, and Google Play. So those are
as well as and Amazon Prime as well.
And Amazon Prime, yes. I was like, where else? I'm missing another one too. Yes, all of those options will be in the show notes below. So highly recommend watching. It's an easy 1.5 hours to watch. Also highly educational and just, again, transparent, informative. I can continue gushing, but we can talk about that in a little bit as well too. But of course, viewers and listeners are also interested in terms of like your origin story. Everyone's always interested in that. I'd love to hear how you got into sex work, and I'm sure my audience would be curious about that as well.
So I started in sex work as a stripper. So just like you, I believe it or not, I was a classical dancer, but I did a lot of classic dance styles like jazz and belly dance and like fusion dance and stuff like this. And I found myself in between school and career that I really wanted to do, which I was going for. I had a couple of IT certifications, but I didn't have enough to get to the career that I really wanted to yet, and school is expensive. So I went to an amateur night that had a $500 prize in Baltimore. And I want to tell you now that I had never worn a pair of high heels in my life. Like I believe it or not, I'm not, was not a girly girl, and I'm really not still a girly girl. I say here as I'm sitting here like in a onesie. And I'm like telling my friend worked at the same club, not a dancer, but was or at the VIP lounge, and was like, I've seen you belly dance. You'll be great. And I'm like, I don't know. I've never taken my clothes off when I'm dancing, so I don't know how that's going to work. And he's like, listen, just, do like one of your routines and, like take your clothes off during it. And, $500 was a lot of money at that time, because this is what, 19 years ago. And I did. I went up and I like wore a whole belly dance outfit. I had no shoes, no nothing. And I think I danced to Sting's Desert Rose, because that was really in at the time. And I even forgot that I was supposed to take off clothing until like the last 30 seconds.
Oh my gosh.
And I also never danced on a stage where there were poles before. And there were two of them. There were these two, like 2-story poles. This was at the Hustler Club in Baltimore, which is, very ritzy. And I was like, what the fuck am I supposed to do with these things? They're in the middle of my stage, So I just kind of like went in my zone, and then in the last 30 seconds took my top off, and then like the music went down, and I looked down, and the stage was covered in money. And I was like, oh my God, I've never seen this before. And then there was standing applause. Like I have never, to this day, other than doing feature shows, I've never seen standing applause in a strip club.
Wow.
And I was like, oh God, is this bad? I don't know what this means. Like, I don't know the rules here. No, somebody tell me. And they basically the like bouncer came over. He's like sweeping up the money into a bucket, and I'm going, no, but that's mine. Excuse me. Like I earned that. And he's like, no, don't worry. It's yours. I'm going to give it to you. I mean, like when I say like I'd never even been in a strip club before.
Oh my gosh, classic.
I love you, but you're really warm. And the owner of the club comes up, and I didn't know this, but he was actually one of the shareholders in the Hustler Corporation.
Oh,
because they had just opened this club.
Okay.
Yep. And he's like, that was great. Are you ready to work? And I was like, what?
What?
I'm just here for the $500. Did I win? And he goes, oh yeah, you won. Come to my office. We'll get you paid out. And he's like, and we can get you started. And I'm going, start what?
Confusion all around.
And I did. And so he comes in and he's like, the purpose of the contest is we hire the person who wins each week. And I was like, oh, okay. I have no idea how to be a stripper. I don't know if you noticed, but like, I'm still not wearing shoes, right? Like I'm walking around the strip club barefoot. And he's like, well, I tell you what, why don't you just start tonight, try it out and see how it goes. And if you don't like it, great. You never have to come back. But if you do like it, then maybe we can work for a little while. He takes me down to the little Hustler store that was part of the club to buy me a pair of shoes, which I promptly took off because I could not walk in them. And then I literally, like the first night, I just kind of wandered around, and I was like, "Hi, do you want to do a champagne room?" Because that was the other thing. Is he walked me around the club. And he goes, so these are table dances, and here are, private dances, and here are champagne rooms. And of course, I asked the question that most men ask, which is, what goes on in the champagne room?
Right.
And he goes, nothing. It's basically like they just get to have a longer amount of time with you.
Mm-hmm.
But all the dances are essentially the same. And I said, okay, so it's $10 for a table dance. And then it's $25. This is the time because, this is before all our inflation.
Yeah.
$25 for a couch, for like a couch dance back there. And it's $300 and half an hour for a champagne, or $400 half an hour for a champagne room. And I'm like, sitting there, like doing the math. I'm like, why would I sell the other ones?
Yeah.
Why would I just not sell champagne rooms? He goes, you're real smart, aren't you? You're real smart for a dancer. And I'm looking at him like, this is basic math, my dude. Like, I'm not telling you anything like fun, right? So my first night, I came home with like $1,500, and it was
Amazing.
the most money I'd ever seen in my life. And
Wow.
yep, and over the course of the next couple of years, that gave me entry into the world of professional domination. I was already kinky, but like I never put two and two together that there was an entire profession that I could excel at. And I danced
Mm.
for probably 3.5, almost 4 years. I did feature dancing. I featured for Hustler for a while. I did like the circuits and stuff in Vegas, and I used all my money of dancing to bankroll my first dungeon.
Yes. Yeah. So okay. So how, like, what was the introduction into femdom and the whole like fetish scene, and also like with just BDSM? Like, how did you get involved or introduced to that?
I'm not sure that I could tell you an honest answer, but I can tell you because I don't know that I even remember. I was so young. I do know that like I started in AOL chat room days of
Oh
being a
wow. Back in the
being
day.
underage and being like and like saucy typing with like other people in role playing chats. And my first girlfriend gave me a book called "Screw the Roses, Send Me the Thorns," and she was like, "I think you're a mistress," and I was like, "I don't know what you're talking about. Go do your fucking homework." And and so I don't know. I think that that probably all came along with it. Certainly, my interest in the world of professional domination developed all like my interest in kink and fetishes very differently than it would have been if I'd stayed just a lifestyler.
Wow. Okay. Okay. So many questions here. So,
Okay.
all right. So, like, yes, you used your money that you had acquired from dancing to open up your dungeon, and you opened up that dungeon with your ex-husband, and that's what we saw in the documentary.
You got it.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. And that space looked massive.
It was a 2,400 square feet, which is really big for a
For
dungeon.
dungeon, yeah.
I would say that it took years before the place looked like you would see like you saw it in the documentary. And even then, I was never really happy with that because my ex basically just wouldn't allow me to do the things that I wanted to do with it. And which is why I can't wait for this new one because it's going to be everything I've always wanted.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
Yes, we'll
Yeah.
definitely discuss that at near the end of the show too. But maybe we'll kind of back it up for those who are not familiar with what femdom is. Do you have a specific definition of how you would describe what femdom is for those who might not know what it is?
So femdom is strictly speaking just the woman in the dominant role, in the dominant position, and femdom has kind of classically been described as like as the like dominatrix role, which is like a woman wearing leather and boots and with a whip and things like that. Has really changed over time to now understand that like femdom kind of just describes a woman who is focused on her pleasure and her power first, rather than the kind of old patriarchal way that men's pleasure comes first. And so this is not to say that the male pleasure or your submissive pleasure isn't important and valid. It's just not more important than yours, and that's kind of the defining difference.
I love that definition. Yeah, because it's been a while since we've had an episode on this. So, for those who are wanting to get into doming, because we've had so many questions about that in the past. Like, do you have to be? Because I know there's so many different types, as you mentioned. Like, it's really evolved over some time. I feel like a lot of people would subscribe to that stereotype that you just mentioned of like the latex wearing. You have to be super aggressive and whatnot. Like, how would you describe your own style when it comes to doming? And is that something that was pretty innate to you? prior
Oh,
to yeah.
I've I've gone through numerous evolutions for myself, and I too subscribed to the like the cold, austere, ice queen of a dominatrix when I first started, which is actually where my like the last name of Snow came from.
Oh, there
Um,
we go.
and actually, believe it or not, I started when I danced. My name was Sahara Snow, which was my favorite Angoon song at the time,
Cool.
and so they told me that Sahara Snow sounded too much like a stripper, and when I became a dom, that I had to pick a different name, and I was like, "Well, that's stupid, but I like being a stripper." Um, Again, it was a long time ago. We would think differently now, but anyway, yeah, my style has definitely changed, and I think that's honestly true of everywhere in sex work is that as you grow and as you evolve, your brand and your style evolves and grows. Um, and I would say that now I am much more of a like a psychological, like thrill kind of person. I do a lot of sensual domination. I do a lot of immersive bondage. I like psychodramas. Um, I I do all the traditional stuff too, but, like, I'm not a sadist by nature, unless it's a psychological sadist. I'm much more of the, like, I'm gonna pry you open and find every little dark corner of your mind, and then I'm gonna figure out how to make you better and happier and, like, more yourself. Like, I'm really into using, BDSM and especially the DS dynamic to help people to become their best selves.
Oh, I like that. Yeah, because I feel like a lot of people don't actually discuss that a lot, or like maybe like glaze over that fact. But I really like that you elevate that. It's such a different, refreshing perspective that we don't often hear about. For yourself,
And to be fair, I when I was younger, I did not have the experience nor the skill set to be able to do that, and then and like I think we all too often focus on like the intersection between sex work and being a therapist, and I
mm,
don't want to perpetuate that notion. But I am simply saying that like I do use my particular role and my background in psychology to do some of those things that are therapeutic, but still not being a therapist. We're not a substitute for therapy
no,
therapists.
we're not. And I feel like sometimes a lot of clients might think that we are. And it's a lot of emotional labor, it's a lot of emotional work, for sex workers to take on. So, clients listening out there, because I know there's a lot of you listening as well, don't do that. Don't expect that. Go see a professional therapist.
Exactly. I think the kind of the defining pieces, at least of BDSM, is that BDSM requires you to have a lot of personal autonomy in being able to address your own limits, to address your own needs, to understand what your fetishes and your kinks are, and that goes hand in hand with with personal autonomy in your life. Which means that if you're owning where your own boundaries and needs and things are in your sex life, you tend to do a lot of it, in the regular world too.
Right. I mean, was that something that drew you to this lifestyle in terms of like the personal autonomy piece? Like, um, just bettering yourself, also like knowing what your boundaries are and whatnot? Or like, was that not even part of the equation?
I don't know if that necessarily drew me, but I definitely think it kept me here.
For yeah, especially like 17 years in.
Yeah. Yeah, I very much like that, at this part of my life, I get paid to tell people exactly what I think about them. I
The
don't have to lie
best.
to anybody anymore, you
No.
know? Like,
I mean, going into the documentary Wicked Eden, how did this whole project materialize? Because you're the star of the documentary, and it is a documentary that kind of goes into like the behind the scenes, as in terms of like your work as a dominatrix, also follows a group of women that you help mentor as well, in the documentary, which I thought was really really cool too, just to see, different, I guess, phases or different parts, where people are at with their dominatrix journey. Like, how did you get approached to be in this, or like how did this whole thing come about?
so this is certainly not the first time that I'd been approached. In fact, I've probably turned away 4 or 5 different mainstream projects. and it's usually because the mainstream media loves to paint us as circus animals. Like they want to where everything's for the sensational value and not really to see us as human beings. But this was the first project where I was approached by a uh, basically a woman who did female empowerment pieces, and she's Canadian,
Oh,
and I just really liked, really actually like most of the team is from Calgary, and I just absolutely felt a sense of like commonality, and I pushed. I said, okay, I like your pitch and everything, but I'm not willing to do this project unless you give me veto power over any scene. I can't risk that my story and anyone else that I might bring to you. Any of those stories can be taken out of context or it could be construed, negatively.
right.
And I don't know how much you might know about documentaries. I certainly knew nothing going in. That is unheard of for a subject to have any amount of editorial power over
Oh,
over
wow.
absolutely none. Yeah. In fact, they usually want to buy your life rights and the rights to your story, and that was another thing
Oh,
that my producer fought to not have happen.
good.
So she said, "Nope, absolutely. You get veto powder. We're going to make you co-executive producer." I was like, "I don't know anything about making a documentary, but I'll take the veto power, you know?"
That's
And
awesome.
and that was it. And so, like I didn't have, I had, no input in like the artistic direction and things like that. But I did get to go, yes, that's a good direction. That's not a good direction for the narratives and stuff. And that's why I said yes.
Awesome. I mean, yeah, because I had just watched it last night, which was really cool, and so it's really nice and fresh in my mind as well. But there were a lot of things that you had addressed in on the documentary, and I'm glad now it does show now that yes, you had some power there because like it wasn't glamorized for once, and yeah, as we've seen before in mainstream media, sex work is always just sensationalized, always like painted as like, okay, we can make tons of money. But there was always like a but when you were speaking with some of the other femdoms that were featured in the documentary as well. Like, I like that conversation that you had. I think her name was Raven.
It's Raven Rose. She's
Yeah.
actually she's changed her name back to Ryan, so she's going by
Oh,
Ryan now.
gotcha. I just like that piece that you're talking about too, because I can really resonate with this. But you were saying something about like, there might be situations where people will ask you to do things that might question your morals or your boundaries, and you're just like, do not do that. Do not give into that. And I feel like a lot of us listening can probably resonate with that because I've been in those situations, especially when I was like a young sugar baby, being tempted with money being flashed around in your face. And you're like, well, if I just do this, like it's more money. But then at what cost, you
And,
know?
and honestly, it's a bit of a slippery slope too, because it's not just your ethics. Like I'm going to tell you, as the 17-year-old veteran, or 17-year veteran rather, that um, it also creates a hustle culture that can be somewhat toxic too. And it's not just the thing, like the idea of like what we do for money is not just the things that violate our boundaries. Sometimes they violate our health too. And adopting a more holistic approach of like what's good for me now, what's also going to be good for me later, and what kind of life am I creating for myself is just, it's very powerful. But like the first one is, don't sell a piece of your soul. Just don't do it. Like your soul's not for sale. Your labor and your expertise and your performance and your ingenuity, those are all things that you can sell, but not your soul, not you. You never are.
Yeah, yeah, that's really, and that this kind of goes with any form of sex work out there, not just if you're in the doming scene, but like anyone listening out there, money is around us everywhere, especially in this industry. So I think it was really key for you to say that. I also really liked what you were kind of talking about, like relationships with family, and I think your sister was also interviewed. Stepsister was interviewed for for a portion of the documentary as well, which I thought was really really touching, and how she viewed you as like a mother figure growing up. Like, I didn't expect to see this in the documentary, so it was really cool to kind of see that side as well.
Yeah,
And
when the documentary came out, I actually posted about it on my Facebook, and this was the first time that I had really, like, most people who know me well obviously know what I do, and I'm not since the documentary I've been pretty open about it, but I hadn't talked about it to like the other parts of my family or any of that stuff, and I was a little nervous about the reception, and honestly it was great. And I think one of the things that bothers me the most is about how much shame we often feel as sex workers because the stigma and marginalization that we face. And one of the ways that we make that better is by being brave
yeah.
and really being brave about it, because like, it used to be dangerous to be gay, and the only way that got better was by people being brave enough to fight it. So, when I told my sister about the project, I was like, if you don't feel comfortable with it or whatever, and she was like, no, absolutely, I'm going to do it, absolutely. I'm so proud of you. I'm I look up to you all the time, and this is important, and sex work is work, and there are people, and there's no questions asked, let's do it.
I love
So
that.
that's felt great. Yeah.
It's so nice to get that support, because sometimes, and a lot of us won't don't actually have that support available. Um, how like, when you did post that on Facebook, you said the reception was generally received in a positive light.
It was, and I
Oh
I
yeah.
I thought I thought for certain that I was going to get, people who were like, "Oh yeah, you dumb whore," you whatever. And maybe it's because over the last the 6 years of the project, doing the project really shaped a lot of my like my own sense of validation. So I wasn't allowing people to stick around in my life that I knew secretly felt that way about me. um, but the other part of it is that I just presented it in such a way that I was proud of it, and it leaves people to have to honestly do the same. And I think that the way that we view our own relationships with our work has a lot to do with how we portray them to other people. So if you come out and you're like, absolutely, I do this, I love what I do, I make great money, I'm happy for the life that it gives me, what room do we give them to disagree with us?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know? But if you come out and you're like, I just want to let you know that I secretly take my clothes off on the internet, please don't be mad at me, then that leaves room for people to disapprove and to feel shame about it. So, just something to keep in mind.
Yeah, no, that's a really great point too. Like that I know people might have heard of my ongoing battle, not a battle, but like challenges with talking to my mom about sex work, and also like tiptoeing around the subject, even though I've been like, "Hey, like I got this and all these milestones," but also she's like super religious and very Filipino in that way, and has
Mhm.
many opinions about what sex work is. But like that, I actually go through a similar kind of stance in terms of like, well, this is what I do, and this is why I'm really proud of what I do, and these are my achievements, and I would have never gotten here without doing something like this. So even though she doesn't really know to the full extent of what I do, like she knows some of my great achievements that have materialized from the show, and you just have to kind of stand behind it and be proud about that. So
Absolutely. I think Des, who's my assistant turned aide de camp, as I call them. Which, I mean, if for the aide de camp is the general's like second in command
yes.
in an army. Yeah. Is Does says that people tend to look much more favorably on what you do if you're doing well for yourself, even if they don't necessarily understand. And I think that that's also very true. Is that like, if we look like we're upstanding members of society, then they kind of have to treat us that way. I am, on that topic, very, very glad to see that sex workers are being into a mass wealth, because on that level, they can't ignore us forever. And,
It's true.
and so we're coming for you, politicians.
You're next.
You're next. I have all your dirty secrets. I know what you like. I know what you like in your buttholes too.
It's so true, though.
It's
I'm
so
like,
true.
I mean, going back to the documentary as well. Did you have a say in terms of like what was going to be discussed in the documentary, or is that the other producers in terms of like we're going to be talking about boundaries, we're going to be talking about like behind the scenes how to manage relationships, we're going to be talking about like how to deal with problematic clients, like is this something that they had consulted you with, or is this something that the producers were like, okay, this is the way it's going to go?
I required them to give me the list of questions with every single interview,
Mm-hmm.
and I would, and there were not, it was not often, but there were a couple of times that I was like, nope, not talking about that. No, I think that's silly. But I didn't like micromanage what the questions are about or the directions. I At first it was hard because a lot of the questions were very vulnerable,
Yeah.
and I was very guarded with my answers. But um, I will say we filmed. I think there's 2,500 hours of footage.
Oh, wow.
There is enough, honestly, that was filmed for the documentary to do an entire mini series or two more documentaries, honestly. And
Wow.
and that was because there were just so many different pieces and parts, and the editing took a long time because they were trying to figure out what was the best narrative. So there are tons of different interviews, and there's a lot of other people that were interviewed for this thing that just didn't make it into the doc. There was like lots of other amazing professionals, and and events and stuff like that too. So I'm hoping that maybe one day we'll have like they'll do some kind of like mini series, or like Netflix will pick it up, or who knows.
Yeah. That would be really cool and really good for exposure. I mean, it's already shot, so might as well try to utilize the content that's already there, right?
Right, exactly.
Spoken like a true content creator.
I just I'm stopped counting now that I'm over 3,000. Like I feel like 3,000 is like that's my limit. I continue obviously keep making videos, but not counting anymore. 3,000 of my own personally produced videos, and man, I'm like, this is more than like the longest running soap opera in history. It
I
really
believe
is.
it.
Yeah,
Well, going
like
into
General
other
Hospital, but General Dominatrix or whatever.
and a lot of people would watch that though.
Maybe that'll be the next thing is we'll just do a soap opera, but it's a dungeon soap opera.
Amazing.
As the cross turns.
Well, that's actually a good transition point too, because I would love to chat about your new dungeon, the new Wicked Eden that is coming. Because, yeah, I had read that the Wicked Collective. I guess uh, you were. I don't know if you still are mentoring other DOMs in the space. But I know that you took a break from that to kind of focus on your newest project, which is the new Wicked
Mhm.
Eden. Yeah. So,
I learned a lot of valuable lessons, honestly, in doing the collective, and um, eh, I won't go into the sort of details, but I will say that especially for sex workers, shut up, Alexa. Um, Sorry, I will say that for other sex workers who are considering mentoring, or because it is a very attractive thing to do, is that mentoring is exhausting.
mhm.
It's very exhausting, and you often feel personally responsible for the success of the person that you're mentoring, and they may or may not be motivated the same way that you are. So like it's just kind of something to keep in mind. I kind of just made a lot of changes to the system of education that I do, and realized that the collective model was awesome, and I'm glad that I did it. It was fairly idealistic to make it sustainable.
Mm,
So and the pandemic played a really big role in that, to be honest.
right.
But in my new space, I've been trying to buy my own building for quite some time, and buying commercial property is about 100 times harder than it is to buy a residential property,
Wow.
especially in the United States. And I was able to, gosh, knock on wood, I was able to get an SBA 504 loan. And you're Canadian, so I don't know how much you understand about like SBA loans, but
No,
they
please
are
tell us.
okay. So the SBA is a small business association, yeah, small administration association, one of those two, whatever. It's a government entity that is supposed to give funding and support and whatnot to small businesses. In reality, they take a lot of the tax dollars that they get and they and they kind of hoard it about who they're going to give it to, and it is incredibly difficult to receive. SBA 504s is commercial real estate. It's incredibly difficult to receive them. In fact, the like applying the a number of loan applicants that make it through the process is less than 25%, and I think it's something like actually 20%. Less than 5% of the people who make it through are women or minorities.
Oh my gosh.
Right? And on top of that, so those are the whole numbers. I am the only sex worker I've ever met who was able to get a commercial building and an SBA loan, right?
I believe
And
it.
so and like I have goosebumps on honestly just thinking about it, because at every turn I was like they're gonna find out I'm a whore, you know? Like I was like they're gonna find out that it's all dirty hoe money, you know? And I am I've done a lot of work of not just legitimizing my business, but playing by all of the old white men rules.
Mhm.
Um, and so, you know, like I couldn't believe it had happened. And then I had to leverage a lot to buy it. Like it was a very expensive place and the build out is very expensive.
Right.
Um, it will be utterly magnificent when it's done. I,
Yay.
it's going to be, it's 6,000 square feet.
That's
It's,
enormous.
it is, and half of the space is going to end up being like what we would consider to be like dungeon kind of rooms, but they're not going to be traditional dungeon rooms. Each of the rooms are soundproof so that you can film in them. They're all going
Nice.
to have individual like designs and aesthetics, and like not traditional dungeon aesthetics. Like one of them is going to be a library, for example.
Cool.
Right. I'm
Awesome.
hoping to have hidden bookcases that have like doors behind them and stuff, but
Oh
we'll
my
see if that we get there.
god, that's so cool.
Yeah, and so then also part of that space is going to have an overnight suite with that has its own like own beautiful shower and bathroom, and there's a kitchen, and then there's a big place that's going to be like a community area to hang out, and it's also going to be a classroom to do classes. Then the other side of the space is a production studio and event space. So we're going to do everything from having really cool dance parties, like cool queer, you know, sex
Yeah.
worker dance parties, and like performances and like cool burner style events. And as well as being able to do our own in-house production for other people as well as like for ourselves. So I can finally build in the alien sci-fi set that I've always wanted to, and I don't have to worry about it being part of my dungeon, you know?
That's
Um,
awesome.
yeah. And so the big thing is that for other sex workers is like there's not many places where you can just go and rent a place to go film, for example. My
Mhm.
place, you'll be able to fly in. You could stay there if you wanted because there's an actual like overnight suite.
Yeah.
And you can get everything from like have all the lighting, have the rooms to yourself. You can, you know, bring in extra talent, and then you can also hire us to help coach you and work with you on creating the things that you want to create. So I want to make it so that I'm giving the utmost support to people who are making content as well as learning how to, you know, practice BDSM and do stuff like that, because we're also going to have obviously rental rooms for other professionals too.
Holy crap. This is
Yeah,
amazing. This is all under the same roof. Like, are you
you got it.
kidding me?
Yeah. Hey, dream big, right?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Well, first of all, congratulations. Like that is
Thanks.
huge. And I'm so glad that you're going to be crafting something that is like something you really want to do and something that you've always envisioned, you know? Like it's so cool to see that materialize and come to life. Um so exciting. I mean, I love one that you're creating a space for sex workers to go to because, you know, I film in my space and I'm like, I'm really tired of this angle and I'm really tired of this being in my background, you know, like
Hmm.
I gotta like film in hotels and stuff sometimes. And it's just like, I need to mix it up. And I wish we had spaces like that here in Vancouver. So I think that's such a awesome idea and just like accessibility for sex workers to go in there and shoot their content and
And
chill. And
it's not like being in like a hotel or an Airbnb where you're like, oh my God, I hope they don't find out, or like
yeah,
your Airbnb host doesn't like recognize the place.
and
It's
ban
literally
your
like,
account.
Yeah, it's literally like, no, you not only are you welcome here, you belong here, and I want to see more of that happen in the world.
Love that. Yeah, I was going to ask you earlier. I'm like, what can we expect? But you just went down the entire list. And I'm just like, it just keeps going and just keeps going. And I was like, wow, this is freaking awesome. Well, huge
I
congrats.
am I've only had a lot of these years of things that I really wanted to see happen, and it kind of kept dawning on me. I was like, well, if these things don't exist, then I guess it's up to you to make them exist.
To create it,
So
exactly. And you
yeah,
see that there's a gap in the industry, and you're like, okay, well now, like, I'm gonna fill that gap and create something for that. So that's really cool. Like, when
I
can we expect
thank
this to
you.
be done?
Um, oh, that is a complicated question. I will say that the entire process is so enormously expensive that um I we are now to the point where we're going to have to start doing some much heavier fundraising efforts, because it's like the rising cost of construction meant that I already had to get a loan increase, so I'm already pretty hard leveraged on it. And the construction is supposed to be done around March.
Oh wow.
And so hopefully we'll be able to move in and do all that stuff and be able to start doing events as soon as possible in the spring.
Hmm.
But I'm going to start having to lean pretty heavily on the community, because
Yeah.
when I say everything has gotten more expensive, I was originally quoted, say, $15,000 for the security fencing that was going to go around the building. The building is massive, but we also have a huge parking lot. We have like 32 parking
Oh
spaces, right?
wow.
um, is that I was originally quoted $15,000 for the fencing, and I just got the quote last week for the updated one. It's $30,000. So
Fucking
everything
hell.
is just like, kind of spiraling out of control. And so I'm like, all right, well, we're gonna hang in there. We're gonna try to make it work. So I know that it will work. I have utter faith. The next 6 months are gonna be hell. I just know it.
Oh my gosh. I mean, I hear you with the rising cost of everything. I'm getting married in May, and like,
Oh, geez.
yeah, I'm like, yeah, such timing. Like, the food has gone up by like 30%. And then, like, oh, the transportation went up as well because we're
Hmm.
providing transportation for our guests. And that's gone up too because of gas and everything. I was like, oh, great. Like, things I didn't really want to pay more money for. Now I have to obviously pay it. But I hear
So
you.
true.
It's everything's really
Yeah.
expensive right now. So, like, anything that we can do, my listeners can help, please let us know, and we can plug all the things at the end of the show.
Sure.
But
Absolutely.
yeah, I mean, it's super exciting. I love the business model that you're creating there as well. Like, so many different kinds of revenue can come from that as well. Like, with the rental space, the parties, the different rooms, the overnight suite. Like, my God, a one stop shop. And this isn't
And I
Columbus.
hopefully you'll get to come out for the grand
I
opening,
was
and it
gonna
won't
say.
coincide too much with your wedding dates.
It's all good. But this is in Columbus as well.
It's in Columbus. Yep.
Nice. Okay, cool. Yeah, you're gonna have to definitely keep us posted on that. I cannot wait to
I
see
will. Don't worry.
pictures of the space and everything, a video tour. I'm sure our listeners are getting super excited about that. But
Yeah.
um,
Fingers crossed, at least.
yeah, fingers crossed. We'll get through there. I know it's going to be definitely a struggle, but also a mad push over the next 6 months. So best of
Yep.
luck to you.
Thanks.
There are a number of questions that did come in from your fans. So I feel like we should probably go into that. It's probably that time of the show. Yeah, a lot of these came in from Twitter. So we'll just jump right into it. So the first one is, what are some techniques you use to get into a dominant headspace?
Um, the, the the techniques that I specifically use is I use a lot of ritual. So creating space for myself to change gears. Like when I'm getting ready for a session, or I'm getting ready to film, or any of those things, I don't just like change from the whatever random thing I was doing, and now I have to do this thing. It's like I create space for myself to like take a moment to get dressed, to like think about and plan out the thing that I'm going to do. And the ritual of having that space allows me to also affect my my own headspace. This also got like a bit true is like a lot of submissive men think that like they become horny, and their desire to become submissive happens instantaneously. They're like, my dick is hard, and now I really want you to like dominate me. And they don't realize that it's not the same thing in the dominant headspace. Like there has to be some time, some prep, some
Mm-hmm.
like needing to get ready for it. And, it's also, it's like, it's not a dick emergency. You can wait. I'll be with you in a minute.
Yeah, just hang on a second.
Yeah, exactly.
The same person wrote in, what is the best life advice you've ever received?
I don't know that I could have one piece of life advice other than wear your sunscreen. I would say that I've gotten lots of different life advice in different times in my life that was really important. Um, I think the thing that was the most monumental for me was learning how to uh, address my own healing and my own traumas and my own mental health in and was giving me able to get like all the tools to do that. I went through EMDR a number of years ago, and that's a specific type of treatment for trauma, for PTSD, and it absolutely changed my life. And I would not have done that if someone had not given me like some advice on like if traditional therapies are not giving you all the things that you need, maybe try some other things as well. So I guess that was probably the most important one in recent years.
Love that. Love that. If there was one song you had to listen to for the rest of your life, what would it be and why?
I could not listen to just one song, but I do have a number of playlists, and I couldn't listen to one song for the rest of my life. You know
No.
why?
Why?
Because I get too bored with things too fast. I do have playlists for every rhyme and reason, and I don't know, like I like to listen to new things and then play old things later after I haven't worn them out, a million
I don't
times.
blame you with that. I'm the same way. Like I get into the phases where like, okay, I'm just gonna listen to the same song for like a week, but then I just need to mix it up a little bit and then get obsessed with something new.
Yeah, exactly. It's almost like you kind of wear it out.
Yeah, it's very cyclical. Were there any scenes shot for the documentary that didn't make the cut that she wishes had?
Um, like I said, there's like 2,500 hours or something like this worth of footage. So I haven't seen all of it.
Mm-hmm.
But I do hope at some point they're like that we're able to do something with all the extra footage.
Yeah, yeah, I hope so too. That would be awesome because yeah, there's a lot of great information, great nuggets that were shot for the documentary, and I think it was just a great job. Everyone should go watch it, by the way. Link in the show notes.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. Any advice on how people can oppose bills like Fosta Sesta?
Um, the the political landscape of sex work and like legalities and stuff is really complicated. And so I will just say that the best thing that you can do is to raise awareness, generally speaking, in your own communities and speak up when you can, because politicians follow crowd mentality. And so if there is a general feeling of support towards sex work, then there will be less anti-sex work bills. That is the thing almost everyone can do. I will say that if you want to do more targeted things, then it's about harassing politicians, writing petitions, throwing money at it, getting into, and more activism work. At some point, I'm going to move into political lobbying, with all of my 5 minutes of spare time that I do. And as I had the same thing of like, okay, how do I actually make a difference? So, lobbying is definitely a really important thing too.
Totally. Yeah, it just depends on how much you want to get involved with your activism. So, yeah. Because at the time of recording, it is 3 days before 2 days. Sorry, oh my god, it's just 23rd today. It is 2 days before Christmas. Oh my goodness, like what day is it today? Is Die Hard a Christmas movie?
Die Hard is the best Christmas movie.
Correct
I, I
answer.
I really wish that J.K. Rowling wasn't such a fucking turf,
I
because I also
know.
think that Harry Potter is a great Christmas movies.
Agreed. Very
You know,
bingeable.
Yeah.
I know. I'm so sad about the whole situation because like I grew up reading those books, and then like for her to make like slandering comments about trans people and like other problematic comments, I'm like, no, this makes
No.
me so
I mean,
sad. So
I
disappointing.
honestly, it's a little bit of how I feel about I have a number of pairs of Yeezys. Is that you can separate the artist from the art,
Hmm.
because my shoes are really comfortable, but fuck Kanye. So like it's kind of the same thing. It's like I can still love those stories and also fuck J.K. Rowling.
There you go.
We're complex humans. We're allowed to hold both things simultaneously.
Correct. um, this one came from Instagram. Has there been any confusion when doming a person, like feelings that came before, after, or during a session?
Um, I mean, I would say that like there's lots of complex feelings that come out. Certainly people need BDSM can be very therapeutic, sessions can be very therapeutic. And so, being able to have a safe space to move through your feelings, can be very overwhelming, and you'll feel a lot of things that may not be as prepared to feel. And then afterwards, as you're trying to make sense of them, those things can be confusing. But that's why you don't look at sessions as therapy. You look at them as therapeutic, and you're able to kind of process those things with both your partner and like excuse me, and a professional, as well as like being able to talk to the dom you're with, and allow them to help make sense of things too.
Yes, correct. Last few questions here. What is the biggest myth that people have about BDSM?
The myth that people have had changes over time, and I think it used to be that like BDSM was abuse. We don't really hear that one anymore. I think the big thing that I hear is not strictly around BDSM, but more about femdom, and people still I think don't quite understand that gender roles are a huge part of how we view fantasies and fetishes,
Hmm.
and so we create a lot of these things in response to like the things that are happening in our lives and the ways that we've been raised and our socialization and stuff like that. And so it's okay to like exercise some compassion with that. So I think the biggest thing that like people have around BDSM is thinking that it is all one way, and that's not true. There's tons and tons and tons and tons of ways to do it right, and all of those things all kind of hinge around consent.
Yes, very, very important conversation for sure. What is one thing that you absolutely love and hate about your work?
Um, One of the things that I hate about my work is that it has made it very easy for me to slip into being a compulsive workaholic.
Mm-hmm.
And I am a recovering compulsive workaholic, which is not a technical type of addiction the way that like chemical addictions are, but because of the chemical things it does to your brain, it is actually a type of addiction. Um, and I worked pretty hard at trying to establish work life balance and stuff. I'm not always great. I fall off my wagon, but I would say that I hate that we kind of have collectively created an industry that does not champion good work life balance.
Mm-hmm.
So, and kind of teaching our fans and our clients that like they can access us at any time of day, rather than some of the like the boundaries that other industries have. Like you don't call your doctor at 2 a.m. and be like, I need you right now. You realize that your doctor has hours, right? So, like I would like to see that change over time. I think the one of the very best parts about my job is it gives me not only like the freedom to forge my own path, but also some of the most amazing friendships and the most amazing community that I could have ever dreamed, hands
Yeah.
down.
Ditto to that. Like it's been amazing. Like I just love our community. I'm always gushing about it. And there's so much great inclusivity, and just welcoming aspects of the community and support and love. And I think it's the best community I've ever been in.
Oh, hands down. I couldn't imagine another way. I just got back from doing my second retreat for sex workers. Um, I,
Cool.
I Yeah, I do these retreats in like in tropical places, and I was amazed that like I think 75% of the people that are at the retreat, and this one was big, it was like 34 people, all came from the previous retreat.
Awesome.
Yeah,
That's so
so
freaking cool.
yeah.
Okay, you'll have to plug in what those retreats are later on, right after this last question.
Of course.
The last question is, and again from Twitter, what advice would you give to your younger self?
I think that the best advice I would give my younger self was that to embrace that I would grow and change, and that when I felt like that things were changing in my life, to embrace that my brand would grow and change, and not be like, I'm so worried about changing something. What if what if my fans don't buy my videos anymore? What if this? What if that? Like, I think we all worry too much about like what's going to sell. Thank you, Pandora, for purring into the microphone. Um, I think we were all very worried about like the perception of like what's going to sell and what's not going to sell, versus being like, actually, the more true you are to yourself and adopt that, like, things will grow and change. Your fans find you, like they do, like they're, like it's good for them to watch you grow too. It's not gonna affect your income the way you think it will.
Yeah. A lot of people have those kind of self-doubt when they're wanting to change something or try something new and stuff too. So yeah, that very much rings true for sure. So yeah, the things that we would tell our younger selves.
Like the other one is, when something no longer serves you, let it go.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Great sound advice for sure, and for those listening as well. But before we let you go, Alex, where can we find you?
So you can actually find everything that I do at followalexandra.com. It's just kind of like my link aggregate. Alexandrasnow.com has like more things with like more pictures and stuff, but wickededen.com is my dungeon. I'm most active on Twitter because, it's our last great bastion of
yes.
And my username is Domina Snow on almost all the social media channels, on TikTok and on Instagram and on Twitter and all that stuff, but especially on Twitter, it's Domina Snow.
Awesome. All those links are in the show notes below. Do you have any more upcoming retreats available or not quite yet announced?
I'm not planning absolutely anything until this building is open.
Yeah, fair enough.
But I've been asked to do multiple retreats a year. I'm doing just one, and I usually do them in November. But you can actually join the mailing list it's wicked-retreats.com, and you can kind of see a little bit of what we do. And if you join the mailing list, I will give everyone on the mailing list like the first round of invites.
Yeah.
Just understand that you have to be a verified sex worker to be able to attend the retreats. And I do have to do rounds of verifications and stuff, because I try to create a safe space for people to, to be themselves. It's not for no civilians,
no,
except for partners. We do allow partners to come, but they have to be really cool, and then you're responsible for them.
So cool. Well, all those links are in the show notes below, so be sure to peep that if you're interested. Go follow, like, share everything, subscribe, and buy all the videos as well. That's out there.
Yeah, honestly, the best, if you're a fan trying to get to know me, my loyal fans, which is loyaltoher.com, is the very best place to get all the good stuff.
Ooh, there we go. Okay, I'm plugging that in the links below as well. And for everyone else listening out there, it's new episodes every single Sunday, dropping at midnight Pacific Standard Time. It's Stripped by Sia on Twitter and Instagram, strippedbysia.com. Please like, share, and rate the show, review the show if you have time. It's holidays, downtime. I'd love some reviews on Apple. Give me 5 stars if you're really liking and enjoying the content. And if you want to see more, if you want to see Alex's beautiful cat Pandora and the funny video exclusive that we have here, then go become a patron at patreon.com/strippedbysia. And that's pretty much it. Happy holidays to you, Alex. It was such a pleasure chatting with you today. Thank you so much, and we'll catch everyone in for another episode next week. Thank you. You're listening to Stripped by Sia, hosted, produced, and edited by Steph Sia. Music by Ted D. Graphic design by Maria Bellanderama, and photography by Ian Dabrin.